This Sunday at Rugby Park is shaping up to be much more than just another league fixture. After what has felt like the longest international break in recent memory, Celtic are finally back in action, but the atmosphere surrounding the club means all eyes will be on both the stands and the pitch. Supporters are preparing for a symbolic protest, entering the stadium on the 12th minute to make their frustrations clear to the board. The message is simple: football is nothing without fans. And while the protest is designed to be peaceful and respectful towards the players, it underlines the sense of discontent that has been building since the closing stages of the transfer window and the controversial club statement that followed. The past fortnight has been turbulent, with Celtic supporters refusing to simply brush aside the issues off the pitch in the hope that the return of football would be a distraction. A packed consultation meeting midweek, attended in person and online by hundreds of fans, showed the level of organization and commitment from the support. There is clearly an appetite for change and for greater accountability at the top of the club. When more than 90% of attendees back the idea of a 12th-minute delayed entry, you know it is not just a small group pushing their own agenda. It is a broad feeling across the support that something needs to shift. Of course, the big question is how this protest will look on Sunday. Rugby Park will feel odd without that famous traveling support in full voice from the first whistle. For players on the pitch, it might even feel unsettling. But once the 12th minute arrives and the stands fill, the noise will be deafening, and the backing will be absolute. It is a clever way of making a point without abandoning the team. Still, it will divide opinion. Some fans will want to be inside from kickoff. Others will feel strongly about taking part. That balance of respecting individual choices is crucial, but the sheer numbers suggest the visual impact will be significant. While supporters prepare to send their message, Brendan Rodgers faces his own test with the media. This will be his first press conference since the derby at Ibrox, and given the headlines over the past 2 weeks, the questions will be pointed. Rodgers is a seasoned operator, and few expect him to come out swinging against the board. But there is also a sense that a bland, company-line approach would do little to reassure fans. Right now, the manager has the goodwill of the support. The anger is not with him, it is with those above. If he were to simply shield the hierarchy, that could backfire. At the same time, Rodgers knows the value of keeping focus on football. He will likely strike a careful balance, avoiding fireworks, but also not undermining the frustrations of those who will march into Rugby Park 12 minutes late. From a footballing perspective, Celtic arrive with questions of their own. Injuries have opened the door for young Kobe Donovan to step into the spotlight. With Anthony Ralston seen in a protective boot, it looks like Donovan will get his chance at right back. He is still raw, but his performances with Scotland under-21s showed real promise. Supporters have been desperate for an academy player to grab an opportunity the way Kieran Tierney once did, and this might be Donovan's moment. Rodgers will know the importance of managing expectations, but the youngster has the energy, direct running, and courage that could inject something fresh into the side. Elsewhere, selection dilemmas continue. The midfield has looked predictable and sluggish in recent weeks, struggling to link play and create chances. Callum McGregor will almost certainly start, but many fans feel changes are needed alongside him. Bernardo and Engels are options, while Hattadi is expected to feature despite questions over his form and focus. In attack, Rodgers must decide who leads the line. Maeda's work rate is invaluable, but his finishing can frustrate. The alternative would be to trust Shin or even hand a chance to one of the new arrivals, but Rodgers' recent lineups suggest he will continue with Maeda. Out wide, there is more uncertainty. Both Tinky and Ballet Wish have been touted as left-sided players, raising questions about balance on the right flank. Options are thin, and this highlights once again the recruitment strategy that has left the squad feeling lopsided. The surface at Rugby Park is another factor Rodgers must consider. That plastic pitch has been a problem for Celtic in the past, and with players like Kieran Tierney returning from injury, the manager may think twice before risking them. There is a paranoia about picking up knocks on that surface, and squad rotation could come into play. The Uruguayan defender Serra might be an option, while Cameron Carter-Vickers will be expected to lead the back line. Whatever the selection, Rodgers knows the supporters are craving urgency and creativity after too many games without goals. Kilmarnock themselves have been difficult to predict, using a different formation in almost every match so far. Whether it is a back three, a five-man midfield, or a deep defensive block, Derek McInnes has shown he will adapt to frustrate Celtic. That almost certainly means a defensive shape on Sunday, with Celtic asked to break down a packed midfield and backline. This is where the creativity of the midfield will be tested. Negren, despite his mixed form with Sweden during the international break, could be key if he finds the right rhythm. His ability to make late runs into the box and contribute goals might be vital. But there are concerns about his pace and whether he can dominate games consistently. For all the debates about systems, selections, and surfaces, the reality is that Celtic must start strongly. Too many recent matches have drifted into slow, goalless stalemates where the lack of an early breakthrough allowed opponents to grow in confidence. An early goal at Rugby Park would not only settle the players, but would also lift the atmosphere at a time when tension between supporters and boardroom is already high. The team needs to deliver a performance that reminds everyone of its quality, especially with Rangers breathing down their necks in the table despite Celtic holding a clear lead. The build-up to this match has been dominated by protests, meetings, and statements, but once the whistle blows, the football must take center stage. Celtic's season will be long and demanding, and dropping points here would only intensify the unrest. For Rodgers, the challenge is to channel the frustration of the past fortnight into a performance that shows fight, invention, and purpose. For the supporters, the protest will speak volumes before the real backing begins. All of it combines to make Sunday at Rugby Park one of the most fascinating fixtures of the season so far. As the countdown to Sunday continues, there is a sense that this fixture at Rugby Park could mark a turning point in the season. Not necessarily because of the opposition, but because of the circumstances that surround it. Celtic supporters have endured weeks of frustration, from the underwhelming end to the transfer window to the tone-deaf statements that followed. That frustration has not dissipated. Instead, it has been organized into something tangible. The delayed entry protest is not just a symbolic gesture. It is a statement of intent from the fan base. They are reminding the board that their voices cannot be ignored, and that the passion of the 12th man is not unconditional. What happens on the pitch will carry its own importance, but what happens in the stands will echo long after the final whistle. Brendan Rodgers will be fully aware of that dynamic. His job is to keep the squad focused on football while acknowledging the storm that rages around the boardroom. Rodgers has been through this kind of environment before. His first spell at Celtic saw its own controversies, and he has dealt with pressure in England as well. But this is different. He returned to Glasgow under a cloud of skepticism from some parts of the support, and while results have kept much of that skepticism at bay, the goodwill is fragile. His words in the pre-match press conference could prove as important as his tactical decisions. A simple dismissal of the unrest will not go down well. He must strike the right tone, recognizing the fans' concerns without losing sight of his role as the man tasked with winning matches. On the pitch, the team must show more urgency and fluidity than it has in recent outings. The performances leading into the break were far from convincing, with the Derby win at Ibrox already feeling distant. Since then, the rhythm has been lost. A sluggish midfield has left the forwards isolated, and the lack of creativity has been glaring. For too long, Celtic have relied on moments of individual brilliance rather than sustained attacking patterns. This match offers a chance to reset that narrative. Rugby Park's artificial surface is often used as an excuse for labored football, but Celtic cannot afford to lean on that crutch. They have the quality to play through Kilmarnock, and they must prove it. Much of the spotlight will fall on the younger players who could feature. Kobe Donovan's likely inclusion at right back represents both an opportunity and a risk. Supporters are desperate for a fresh face to inject some energy, and Donovan has the fearlessness of youth on his side. But there will be pressure on him to deliver from the start. These are the kind of moments that can define whether a youngster makes the step up or fades into obscurity. The comparison with Kieran Tierney is natural, even if unfair. Nobody expects Donovan to instantly replicate that level, but what fans want to see is attitude, drive, and a willingness to seize his chance. If he shows that, the supporters will rally around him. Elsewhere, the conversation continues about balance in the attack. The arrival of players like Tinky and Ballet Wish has only muddied the waters, with both seemingly more comfortable on the left. That leaves questions about the right flank, where options appear limited. The days of James Forrest starting every week are behind us, and Young looks to have fallen out of favor. That puts more responsibility on Maeda, who is tireless but not a natural fit out wide on the right. Rodgers may yet have to improvise, but whatever the solution, the system must provide better service to the striker, whoever that may be. If it is Maeda through the middle again, his pressing and running must be matched by players around him who can deliver final balls. If it is Shun or another forward, they will need early supply and support from midfield. Speaking of midfield, this remains the area where most frustration has been directed. Callum McGregor is undroppable, but he cannot do it all himself. Hitate's flashes of brilliance have too often been overshadowed by inconsistency, while new arrivals are still finding their feet. Bernardo could add energy if fit, but match sharpness is a concern. Negrin, meanwhile, has shown glimpses of quality, particularly with his knack for late runs into the box, but his overall impact remains too patchy. The midfield must do more than recycle possession. It must drive the team forward, break lines, and take responsibility in the final third. Without that, the forwards will once again be left feeding off scraps. Kilmarnock, of course, will not make life easy. Derek McInnes has shown a willingness to adapt his formation depending on the opponent, and against Celtic, the safe bet is on a compact, defensive setup. A back five with a packed midfield seems almost inevitable, designed to frustrate and limit space. Celtic have faced this challenge countless times, but recent struggles suggest they are still short of ideas when confronted with a low block. Patience will be important, but so will tempo. The worst thing Celtic can do is start slowly, allowing Kilmarnock to grow in confidence. An early breakthrough would change everything, forcing the home side to come out and play, and that is when space opens up. One of the biggest concerns among supporters is the risk of injuries on the artificial surface. Kieran Tierney's fitness is already a delicate issue, and the idea of throwing him into this kind of match fills many with dread. Carter Vickers has also missed games on similar surfaces in the past. Rodgers must weigh the need for points with the importance of protecting key players for the long haul. That might mean opportunities for the likes of Sarah or even Dane Murray. It is a reminder that squad depth and how it has been managed remains a live issue. Celtic have numbers, but not always the right balance of quality in each position. That recruitment debate is not going away, and every match seems to underline it. Yet despite all the off-field noise, the fundamental truth is simple. Celtic must win. The league table shows them ahead, but nobody inside the club will be fooled into thinking that gap is secure. A slip at Rugby Park would not just damage confidence, it would pour fuel on the fire of discontent. Supporters want to see a team that reflects their passion and ambition. They want intensity, creativity, and resilience. They do not want excuses about surfaces, fatigue, or bad luck. They want Celtic to look like champions again. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. The rumor mill in Glasgow has rarely turned as fast as it does this week, with talks spilling from pubs to pavements about the arrival of a true prodigy. Whispers say that Celtic, never shy of dipping into the continental market, may have pulled off a coup few could have imagined. ARDA GULER, the Turkish wonderkid hailed as one of Europe's brightest young stars, is said to be making his way to Parkhead. For supporters, the very idea feels both fantastical and intoxicating. GULER, often described as the Turkish Messi for his dazzling control, sharp vision, and instinct for the spectacular, has been a headline maker across Europe. At only 19, he carries the kind of reputation that usually ties a player to Madrid or Munich, not Glasgow's East End. Yet the chatter grows louder, suggesting that Celtic's board, emboldened by recent successes and hungry to ignite a new era, have rolled the dice in extraordinary fashion. No one inside the club will confirm the story, of course. Official lips remain tightly sealed, and the manager dodges questions with a wry grin. Still, those in the know hint that negotiations have been brisk and purposeful, with the lure of regular first-team football and the roar of 60,000 under the lights proving more persuasive than fat contracts elsewhere. If true, it would be nothing short of a statement signing, the sort that could lift Celtic's stature on the continental stage and electrify domestic football. Skeptics, naturally, point out that rumors swirl every summer and that agents often plant such stories to drum up interest. But this one feels different, charged with a certain energy. The streets around Celtic Park buzz with the thought of a teenager weaving through defenders in green and white, delivering moments of brilliance to match the club's lofty ambitions. Until an announcement arrives, it remains only a murmur on the wind. But in Glasgow, sometimes a whisper is enough to set a city dreaming. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.